Edgar Cayce investigated a 6-year-old girl named Amy Dietrich, who had been labeled a terminal case of epilepsy by 5 different physicians. Since she was 2, the child had experienced nearly catatonic episodes with as many as 20 seizures daily. On December 12, 1902, Cayce entered his well-known trance and disclosed that the girl had fallen while exiting a carriage, injuring her spine, and that an influenza infection had localized in that area, leading to her seizures. He recommended osteopathic treatments from Dr. A.C. Lane. Within a week, Amy began to address her parents by name and requested her doll. In just 3 months, she had fully recovered and began attending school the next year. However, what's even more astonishing about this documented instance is that it catapulted Edgar Cayce into national prominence and demonstrated a concept that medical science is only starting to grasp today. This was not a matter of chance or serendipity. In 1910, the New York Times released a widely circulated article entitled, "Illiterate Man Becomes a Doctor When Hypnotized," following homeopath Dr. Wesley Ketchum's showcase of Cayce's skills at a medical conference attended by 700 physicians. If you stick with me for just a few minutes, I will unveil how Edgar Cayce's insights on healing during the most challenging times of life have been recorded, authenticated, and continue to change lives almost 100 years later. Be sure to click that subscribe button and activate the notification bell. What I'm about to discuss has been stored in the Edgar Cayce Foundation archives in Virginia Beach, analyzed by healthcare experts, and constitutes one of the most extensive compilations of healing knowledge ever gathered from a single source. Edgar Cayce provided over 14 themed readings, totaling 306, that were carefully transcribed by his secretary, Gladys Davis Turner, and are now housed in the ARE Foundation archives. Nearly 9,000 of these readings focused explicitly on health and healing, establishing him as one of the most extensively documented medical intuitives in America. Hold on, before I share the groundbreaking healing perspective that arose from these numerous cases. It's important to grasp a concept that contradicts much of what traditional medicine holds about illness and recovery. Specifically regarding epilepsy, Cayce was able to offer insights that led to the recovery of 8 individuals afflicted with this disorder at a time when no effective treatments existed. This achievement was deemed extraordinary, particularly given that even now, medication manages to control seizures in only approximately 70% of instances. What made Cayce's method groundbreaking was his comprehensive view of the entire body, rather than focusing solely on the brain. While medical research concentrated on neurological origins, Cayce pinpointed that many epilepsy cases were triggered by adhesions in the lacteal ducts of the abdomen, an essential part of the lymphatic system responsible for nutrient absorption. This transformation alters our entire comprehension of the link between physical symptoms and their actual origins. The case of Amy Dietrich uncovered something remarkable regarding Cayce's approach to healing. Rather than merely addressing symptoms, he discovered the underlying cause using what seemed to be an extraordinary diagnostic talent. His assessment indicated, the issue lies within the spine. Just days prior to her illness, her body had slipped while exiting a carriage, impacting the base of the spine against the carriage step. This injury created a vulnerability that allowed the grip germs to establish themselves. As per sworn affidavit, referencing Mr. Dietrich from 1910, the therapies functioned precisely as Cayce had anticipated. By the 8th day, her clarity of thought began to return, and in 3 months, she was completely restored to health. However, what is truly groundbreaking about Cayce's approach to healing, which I will reveal shortly, is that Edgar Cayce was able to enter a trance state using only the patient's name and address to diagnose and suggest effective treatments. Truly one of the most remarkable psychic feats ever recorded. His capacity to identify physical ailments of an individual he had never encountered, possibly located hundreds of miles away while in a trance, and subsequently recommend effective remedies, stands as one of the most remarkable psychic accomplishments ever recorded. This went beyond merely addressing individual cases of healing. Cayce was forming an extensive insight into the interplay between consciousness, the body, the mind, and the spirit, an understanding that traditional medicine was just beginning to recognize. His holistic methodology focused on the interconnectedness of body, mind, and spirit. The insights provided during his readings were designed to treat the individual as a whole, empowering people to cultivate self-awareness and take responsibility for enhancing their own physical health and spiritual wellness. Throughout the well-documented periods of his career from the 1920s to the 1940s, Cayce uncovered recurring patterns in his healing sessions. Individuals who heeded his advice frequently reported not only physical recovery, but also an enhancement of their spiritual insight and intuitive skills. Do you recognize the pattern emerging here? Cayce's insights were centered on tackling the fundamental causes of ailments instead of merely easing the symptoms. Furthermore, he demonstrated that healing often transpired when individuals grasped the deeper significance and purpose of their difficulties. Linda Caputi, a retired registered nurse who contributes to the RE Library, utilized Cayce's methods to assist in curing her daughter's epilepsy. She has recently authored a book detailing her experiences and mentions that her daughter has been seizure-free for years. However, what's truly remarkable about Cayce's perspective on healing is that it can transform how you perceive challenges in your life. In 1928, Cayce established America's first psychic hospital in Virginia Beach, which included a lecture hall, a library, a vault for storing readings, and research facilities. The primary aim was to test and reevaluate remedies, ultimately creating a compendium for the medical community. This initiative transcended mere supernatural healing. It aimed to forge a connection between spiritual understanding and practical medical usage. In treating epilepsy, Cayce regularly advised the use of castor oil packs applied to the right side of the abdomen to alleviate adhesions in the lacteal ducts. The therapy consisted of hot castor oil packs applied for approximately an hour during 3 sessions each week, followed by an abdominal massage. Dr. James H. Carraway, a professor at Eastern Virginia Medical School and a surgery practitioner in Virginia Beach, emphasizes that Edgar Cayce's methods enhance individuals' health and well-being. He frequently encounters patients who adhere to Cayce's principles and observes that many of them are proactive in their approach to self-improvement, focusing on better nutrition, physical activity, and stress management. The groundbreaking realization that arose from countless of Cayce's readings is this: healing is not merely an event that occurs to you. Rather, it is a process that unfolds within you as you harmonize your consciousness with your body's inherent healing capabilities. Cayce proposed that life is driven by the spirit, the mind constructs, and the physical realm is the outcome. This essential concept consistently emerged throughout his readings, highlighting that awareness shapes physical reality. I'd like to present another documented instance that illustrates this principle in an extraordinary fashion. The book Edgar Cayce on Healing outlines 12 cases examined by the professional writer Mary Ellen Carter alongside contemporary Dr. William A. McGarry. These cases encompass a range of conditions, including scleroderma, streptococcus, ataxia, peritonitis, gangrene, ear infections, Perthes disease, appendicitis, infertility, weakness, cerebral palsy, and paralysis. In numerous cases, the same pattern emerged. Cayce not only pinpointed the physical causes, but also the mental, emotional, and spiritual elements that played a role in the condition. True healing took place when individuals tackled all aspects, body, mind, and spirit, rather than focusing solely on physical symptoms, including weight issues. Furthermore, Cayce made a profound discovery regarding healing during the most challenging times in life. Author and futurist Stephen A. Schwartz believes that Cayce deserves greater recognition for his visionary perspective, referring to him as the pioneer of complementary and alternative medicine. He emphasizes that the health principles Cayce advocated have proven enduring over the years. Cayce was one of the early proponents who suggested that holistic treatments, such as castor oil packs, dietary adjustments, physical activity, and massage, can significantly enhance overall well-being. He was among the pioneers in the United States advocating for an increased intake of fruits and vegetables while steering clear of fried foods. Although this perspective was groundbreaking in the early 1900s, the National Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine now indicates that 38% of Americans explore alternative methods to address their health issues. The Edgar Cayce readings can be accessed through circulated files, which are collections of verbatim excerpts, thoughtfully organized by theme. Reference bulletins have been developed as helpful resources for healthcare professionals, often incorporating statistical evaluations for the causes and treatments of various medical conditions. What is particularly groundbreaking about Cayce's approach to healing during life's most challenging times is the insight that has the potential to transform everything for you. Cayce emphasized that every obstacle holds the potential for spiritual development and an expanded awareness. What we often view as sickness, crises, or our darkest moments are actually chances for the soul to cultivate deeper insight and healing capabilities. Today, people from diverse backgrounds and belief systems find physical relief from ailments through insights provided in the readings, even if some of these readings are a century old. Each day, someone visits the ARA library in search of answers. Visitors uncover information relevant to their health issues and depart with a sense of joy, or at least renewed hope. The key aspect of Cayce's healing viewpoint is crucial, and it has the power to shift your perception of any challenge you may currently be experiencing. Cayce offered medical, psychological, and spiritual guidance to countless individuals who attested to the success of his trance-based readings. His contributions persist in changing lives through a holistic approach that integrates body, mind, and spirit. The mission of the Edgar Cayce Foundation is to safeguard, preserve, and provide access to these records for ongoing research. All of Cayce's psychic readings, letters, photographs, recordings, and historical documents are housed in Virginia Beach for further examination. Remember, your most challenging moments do not signify that life is unkind or lacks purpose. Based on the documented trends observed in numerous Cayce readings, these experiences serve as opportunities to uncover healing talents and spiritual strengths you may not have realized were within you. Cayce's comprehensive methodology encourages individuals to cultivate self-awareness and take ownership of enhancing their physical health and spiritual wellness. Healing commences when you acknowledge that your consciousness can shape your physical reality. The pertinent question isn't about whether you will overcome your present difficulties. Rather, it concerns the extent of healing, awareness, and spiritual growth you will attain as a result of them. The wisdom of Edgar Cayce has been changing lives for almost a century. His readings delve into personal spirituality, holistic health, dreams, discovering one's purpose in life, reincarnation, intuition, meditation, mindful living, and ancient secrets. According to Edgar Cayce, spirit is synonymous with life. The mind serves as the creator, and the physical world is the outcome. As you synchronize your awareness with this principle, healing transitions from being merely a possibility to becoming a certainty. Your moment of breakthrough is nearer than you realize. In ways that you might not yet perceive, your healing journey has already commenced. The shift you're experiencing is backed by almost a century of documented research demonstrating the close relationship between consciousness and healing, provided this viewpoint resonates with you. If you're prepared to delve into the established healing principles that have benefited thousands over the past century, be sure to subscribe to this channel and activate the notification bell. Share this video with anyone who needs to realize that their most challenging moments hold the potential for their most significant healing breakthroughs. The 40th and 306 readings recorded by Edgar Cayce can still be accessed today through the Eyrie in Virginia Beach. His contributions continue to assist individuals in recognizing that a properly understood and utilized consciousness serves as the ultimate healing power. Regardless of whether you're facing physical ailments, emotional struggles, or spiritual challenges, the principles uncovered by Cayce illustrate that your mind possesses the capability to reshape your reality from within. This healing journey is bolstered by the most thoroughly documented psychic healing work throughout American history. The critical inquiry remains: are you prepared to unveil the restorative potential that has long resided within your own awareness? However, Edgar Cayce's extraordinary talents reached well beyond personal healing. His prophetic abilities showcased a precision that continues to amaze scholars long after his passing. In February 1925, while conducting a life reading for a 26-year-old doctor, Cayce foretold that this young man would soon acquire a significant amount of wealth, yet cautioned him about negative forces expected to arise in 1929. Remarkably, 4 years ahead of the event, Cayce accurately predicted the year of the stock market crash. Half a year prior to the crash in October 1929, Cayce issued a caution to a New York stockbroker regarding a looming significant upheaval in the financial sector. He remarked that a notable decline in the bear market could be anticipated. This situation, involving the reserves of both nations and individuals, would result in considerable turbulence in financial circles. Those who profited from Cayce's advice ended up losing their earnings when they ceased to adhere to his recommendations. 6 months before the crash of 1929, Cayce advised his associates on Wall Street to divest all their stock holdings. However, they had been performing exceptionally well in a thriving market. They credited their achievements to their own wisdom and ignored any warnings. Eventually, they faced bankruptcy. Remarkably, Cayce had accurately predicted the stock market crash of 1929, almost to the exact month. Similarly, just as he anticipated the downturn in 1931, Cayce also recognized the exact turnaround that followed. Significant advancements are anticipated in the spring of 1933. Franklin Roosevelt took office on March 4, 1933, instilling a wave of confidence across the country, with his assertion that the only thing we need to fear is fear itself. Are you beginning to grasp the magnitude of the consciousness we are exploring? However, the most astonishing prophecy was made over 11 years prior to its confirmation through archaeological findings. Edgar Cayce provided an in-depth description of a Jewish group known as the Essenes long before the Dead Sea Scrolls were uncovered in 1947. The scrolls were discovered 2 years following Cayce's passing, although he had referenced the Essenes in 171 distinct readings. At the time of his readings, researchers viewed the Essenes as an all-male monastic community. Nevertheless, Cayce asserted that within Essenes society, both men and women collaborated and cohabited towards the shared aim of preparing for Christ's arrival. In 1951, 6 years after Cayce's death, archaeologists conducted additional digs at Qumb Run, close to where the Dead Sea Scrolls were uncovered. They found proof that men and women coexisted within the Essenes community, precisely as Cayce had outlined decades before. When questioned about the term Essenes, Cayce's readings simply defined it as expectancy. The text indicated that this particular group assumed the responsibility of getting ready for the Messiah's arrival on earth. This went beyond mere historical facts. It showcased that consciousness has the ability to retrieve information through time and space in ways that traditional insights cannot clarify. In April 1929, Cayce forecasted the merging of major communication companies. He outlined how different communication mediums would operate in a more collaborative and organized fashion, referencing telegraph, telephone, radio, Western Union, and Western House. These mergers took place precisely as anticipated. In a reading from 1927, Cayce envisioned upcoming medical breakthroughs that seemed like something out of science fiction back then. He forecasted that diagnosing illnesses from a single drop of blood would become a reality. He claimed there is no ailment within the body that cannot be traced through its blood supply. This insight came years before contemporary blood diagnostic methods were invented. On May 28, 1926, Cayce established a link between variations in temperature within deep ocean currents and shifts in weather patterns. His observations may be considered an early interpretation of what is currently referred to as La Niña and El Niño. These weather patterns arise from temperature fluctuations in deep ocean currents that significantly influence global climatic conditions. What enhances the significance of these insights for the understanding of healing consciousness is that Cayce illustrated how the same awareness capable of identifying illnesses in individuals located hundreds of miles away could also foresee future occurrences and historical events with remarkable precision. This indicates that the consciousness involved in healing transcends the usual boundaries of time and space. The ramifications for your personal healing path are significant. Should consciousness be able to tap into information spanning time and space, it implies that the healing wisdom within you can access answers and potentialities that your ordinary mind may not recognize. In 1935, Cayce foresaw the progression of World War II, detailing an extraordinary alliance among the Germans, Austrians, and Japanese. This coalition would only come to fruition with the signing of the Tripartite Pact on September 27, 1940. He also forecasted that militaristic factions would ignite global conflict. However, what Cayce disclosed regarding human potential may be most crucial for grasping consciousness and healing. He anticipated that humans are capable of living significantly longer than what is typically expected. Numerous organs and ailments exhibit transformations induced by natural circumstances as the body yields to the impacts of aging. A great deal of this may be surmountable. A person is meant to exist for a significantly longer duration than what is typically allotted, and this will become a reality. He foresaw the emergence of what he referred to as the fifth root race, an evolutionary event that would signify the dawn of a new era and a fresh comprehension of humanity's connection to the divine. In 1942, when inquired about this expanding awareness, Cayce responded, asking what one was doing to ready themselves for a new root race. He emphasized the need to prepare sustenance not only for their physical needs, but also for their mental and spiritual growth. This indicates that we are progressing toward a time when the healing awareness shown by Cayce will become more accessible to humanity. In the mid-1920s, during his stock market sessions, Cayce provided over 700 insights into business and market trends, documenting its fluctuations and advising clients on how to manage financial cycles. However, Cayce himself never reaped any material benefits from his talents. Possibly, the key was in his own readings, which emphasized that psychic abilities should not be utilized for financial gain. Those who attempted to misuse Cayce's gift for selfish ends often found themselves losing their acquired wealth. For instance, a stockbroker faced ruin after he continued to invest against Cayce's guidance. Those who abused the guidance encountered significant repercussions. This highlights an important aspect of healing consciousness. It functions most effectively when driven by a desire to help others, rather than for personal benefit. The documented precision and foresight of Edgar Cayce confirm the same consciousness that has given healing advice to countless individuals. When the same source that correctly anticipated the stock market collapse, the onset of World War II, and the unearthing of the Dead Sea Scrolls also shares healing insights, we need to recognize the profound transformative potential it presents. The challenge you are facing right now, regardless of its nature, is being tackled by the same universal consciousness tapped into by Edgar Cayce. This healing wisdom, which understood the Essenes long before scholars brought them to light and anticipated economic shifts and worldwide conflicts, is here to support your healing and transformation. The extensive documentation accumulated over nearly 100 years demonstrates that consciousness has boundless access to solutions for healing. Your most difficult times are not merely personal battles. They present a chance for you to connect with the same infinite intelligence that assisted Edgar Cayce in guiding thousands towards healing and change. The principles exhibited by Cayce illustrate that by harmonizing our individual consciousness with universal consciousness via service, meditation, and spiritual growth, we unlock healing resources that go beyond conventional human limitations. This understanding is what makes Edgar Cayce's viewpoint on life's most challenging times still groundbreaking nearly 80 years after his passing. He demonstrated that consciousness shapes reality, that healing intelligence is perpetually accessible, and that our most significant obstacles frequently transform into gateways for our deepest breakthroughs.